In this episode of Carpe Diem.
Are you overprescribed? When did you last have that conversation with your doctor and pharmacist? How do you make sure that the medicines you're taking are still the ones you should?
Carpe Diem. Seizing the day for Canadians as we age.
Welcome. Before we discuss today's topic, let's take a look at this week's Zippy Zoomer with our videographer, Leah Bolton.
I'm sure you know the history of it, that I brought the term to Canada 25 years ago.
We are back with our Zippy Zoomer this week in Burnaby with 73-year-old Harry. Now he's got 50 years as a veteran in the wine industry.
I am the wine guy. Come on, let's go on in. Cheers.
Retiring? Forget it, right? Kind of deal? Why did you say that?
Well, because I don't ever have any intention of retiring. I live what I do, I love what I do, and I don't have enough hobbies to keep me excited and charged other than wine. And the wine business, if you don't live it, you're not going to be in it.
How many bottles have you opened now?
Today?
No, altogether.
My life?
Yeah.
I can't count that high.
It's a real honor to celebrate, your 50th vintage as well.
Well, I've had a lot of fun getting here, and I plan to have a lot more fun going to wherever I'm going to get to.
Nice.
The world has changed in British Columbia for consumers. 50 years ago, there were no self-serve liquor stores in British Columbia. There were no private retailers, and if you wanted to have a glass of wine in a restaurant, you could only do so after you ordered a meal to eat.
One of the first things, flavors that we thought would go good when we tasted the wine was anchovy.
Oh yeah, okay, so the salt of the anchovy will actually really bring out some of the character of the Syrah.
He's the heart and soul of the wine industry, and we've had some memorable visits to the Okanagan.
That's it.
You got to keep up with Harry, right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
The salt of the cheese is really just going to pick up the fruit that much more in the wine.
Do you think he's going to be at 100 doing the same thing?
I hope so, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was.
Chef's done a perfect job. The food tastes better with the wine, and he's taken my wine to a new level.
There you go. Harry and I are going to continue to taste test wine. If you have a Zoomer to nominate, don't forget to nominate them at zippyzoomer@carp.ca. We're heading back to the studio. Cheers.
Well, they do say red wine is good for the heart. Dr. Lowe, what else is good for the heart?
Well, really love red wine. And however, it's other things that we need to look at as well, including diet and exercise.
Ken, you're all about the exercise.
The best part of being retired is I'm under my own will to get out and exercise and enjoy it no matter what the weather is. It's always good.
And that's your campaign at Carpe.
We certainly do have campaigns around social inclusion and making sure that people are standing up straight, because what we know is that medication is often a last resort, that if people are able to get other two things, like for example pets rather than pills, we can reduce the medication that we have. And of course that's why we're here today, because so many Carpe members take a lot of medications. And let me be clear, if a medication is necessary, someone should absolutely take it. But what our research is increasingly showing is that people are on too many medications, they're experiencing too many side effects, and we're working to try to get people into the right medications for them.
When we come back, we're going to talk about your medications.
Up next on Carpe Diem.
When you start taking more than 3 different medications at a time, your risk of drug interactions goes way up.
Carpe Diem. Seizing the day for Canadians as we age.
In this segment, we're talking about your medicines. Are you overprescribed? Dean Natwall caught up with a local pharmacist who talks about blood pressure medication.
A growing number of medical professionals are urging Canadians to take a closer look at their medications, warning that some combinations of prescriptions may be doing more harm than good.
When you start taking more than 3 different medications at a time, your risk of number 1 drug interactions goes way up. So that by the time you're taking 5 different prescription drugs or even some over-the-counter medications, you're at risk for a drug-drug interaction. This is information about your prescription, how it's going to help you, what the adverse effects are. One of the things we have a mandate for is to reduce prescription drugs. Biggest thing we start reducing is some blood pressure medication. Think of it, if you have too low a blood pressure, then your ability for the blood to flow to the brain is potentially reduced, and it may make you dopey, drowsy. Low blood pressure on a regular basis can increase your risk of falls. So if you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, you know, risk of falls, you want to avoid that. Many people in their 80s or 90s, if you fall 50% of the time at the end of 6 months, you're no longer here. Finish everything in there, and you should feel better in 24 to 48 hours.
Okay.
Okay. I have a client, a patient. They were 77 years old. He did have those symptoms. I said it's important. You go back to your doctor, tell your doctor that you're experiencing this. Next thing you know, they reduced the dose by half. So when he visited me again, which was just a few days, the doctor had reduced the dose by half.
So not completely taking them off. And it's important for people not just to stop taking medications.
Absolutely. You can't make that decision yourself, but explaining it to your doctor, your health professional, that's really important.
Dr. Lowe, I want to ask you, can you add to that story?
Well, certainly with respect to medications, a lot of them get started. Over time, you may not need them anymore as you age as an antihypertensive, so high blood pressure is what it treats. But over time, as your body changes, maybe you lost some weight, maybe you've changed your diet and you're much better at it than you were before. You might not need those medications anymore, and somebody needs to reassess that. And whether you're on it and your blood pressure is normal range, you could come off of it and it could still be in the normal range. And this requires speaking with your doctor and pharmacist about that.
Just to follow up on that, I was at an event a few weeks ago, and in a private outdoor event, and I looked over about 10 seats over, and this fellow looked like he was slumped over. And so I went over and tapped his wife on the shoulder, and I said, "Is your husband okay? Do you mind if I call the ambulance? Because I think we are going to need one." I checked up on him a couple days later because he was in the neighborhood. He's back to normal. He had gone to the pharmacist with his doctor information, and the pharmacist and the doctor looked at the prescriptions that the cardiologist had given, and they contacted the cardiologist because the cardiologist gave one prescription at one time and then one later on, and they actually were contradicting and decreasing his blood pressure.
Well, it's unfortunately that these kinds of things happen. We don't have a universal system yet in Canada. Certainly, it would be nice to have that so we can see what everyone's taking, who's prescribing what. There's a PharmaNet system in BC, so it does mean that each prescription can be seen at the pharmacy level. Not every doctor's office has that, but there are certainly times where you're seeing multiple prescribers, and each could be starting something. And you know what's even sometimes really concerning is starting a medication to treat a side effect of another. And so really it's a side effect, and the drugs just keep adding up and adding up. And unless somebody reviews it, and it has to be taken upon yourself to bring attention to it.
I want to take your attention to the screen because now we're going to ask you what's in your medicine cabinet.
I take 6, half a dozen for me. Oh, I take 2. That's it. Well, the high blood pressure, the kidneys.
I do greens, I exercise, I still work, and I'm in my late 60s. And I don't take any medication for blood pressure, for anything.
And that's about it. And I've got diabetes because of the kidneys.
Dr. Lowe, that was a wide variety of answers.
That is, ranging from no medication up to 6. And it's hard to tell whether they're all appropriate or not. Hopefully they were started one at a time and not all at once. And also hopefully they were reevaluated and determined how long each drug should be taken for. Since many medications are not necessarily long-term, there's many medications like PPIs or proton pump inhibitors that are used for acid reflux, indigestion, and those kinds of reasons that really it ought not to be taken for more than 8 weeks.
One of the other areas where people sometimes take medication that perhaps they don't need to is sleep medication.